Greetings and welcome back to another reaction video. In today's video, we're going to be reacting to 28 British versus American words for food. Yes, it's another food video. Oh, bloody love food. And it's another video by the legendary Laurence Brown of Lost in the Pond. As always, links in the description. Go support him, go check him out. You won't be disappointed. Before we start, if you can like the video, subscribe and all that great stuff, that'd be awesome because it really helps me and the channel out. Now listen, my jibber jabber, let's just get on with it.
Hello, I'm Lawrence.
I'm Tara.
And we are on a quest to uncover all of the memos that Britain and America
lost in the pond.
And one of those memos pertains to food.
Food.
Specifically, the words we use to describe them. George Bernard Shaw once said that Britain and America are two nations divided by a common language. And nowhere is this more evident when it comes to the things we put in our mouth. Food.
And so today we are going to be talking about 28 different British and American words for food. So just as a disclaimer, I actually use the British terminology for most of these nowadays because I've just been with you so long.
Yeah, sorry, I feel like a king.
And as such, I might actually forget the American words too, but bear with me, I'll try to give you some context.
And so without further ado, let the buffet commence. All right, well, one entry in and I already want to eat the picture.
If it's what I think it is, it looks like a Yorkshire pudding.
Wife, what do you call this?
Well, I call it a Yorkshire pudding, but it is a popover in this country.
But again, my influence has paid off. I also call it a Yorkshire pudding, not to be confused with pudding that we use to describe desserts in Britain. This is a savoury meal that you would eat as perhaps part of a Sunday roast.
Fun fact, I learned to make these before I met him.
Did you?
Yeah, and I'll explain it more when I actually make a video about them.
So at first glance, I think...
So just going back to that one, did she say it was called a pop-over? Never heard of that saying before. Looking at this looks like chocolate.
I'd call this chocolate sauce, but that's not what this photo is of. Well, I mean, I can't describe it without giving away the answer, although I could just tell you what I call it. It would be black treacle.
Oh, it's molasses.
Now, apparently these have different names around the world, but where I grew up, this was known as a Swiss roll.
I think it was a Swiss roll where I grew up too, but I think the Swiss rolls that I ate as a kid came in Little Debbie boxes or something like that at least.
Now,
Debbie boxes. What's a Debbie box? If you could let me know, that'd be great. And this one here, this looks like sweet corn.
this one's an interesting one to me because when I first moved here, I ordered some of this at Qdoba, and I think I referred to it then, as I always have, as sweet corn.
But we call it corn.
But I should say that I have on occasion heard people in the US refer to it as sweet corn as well. It's just not as widespread as you would find in the UK. Right, if you know your onions, because that's a phrase, then
Yeah, these are spring onions.
you'll know that this is a specific kind of onion, and where I come from, refer to this as a spring onion.
And I refer to the top of it as spring onions and the bottom of it as scallions because that's the type of onion that it is.
Are you making a compromise with your husband, or is that just fact?
I think it might just be fact, but you're gonna have to look up on your botany.
Americans, just like Brits, do
Spaghetti bolognese.
enjoy their Italian food, and this, where I come from, would have been referred to, and still is, I think, as either spaghetti bolognese or spag bol, because we like to shorten things.
I think it's hilarious that you all call it spag ball.
What do you call it?
Just spaghetti.
There are more syllables in spaghetti than in spag bol.
We just don't talk about the bolognese part.
Now, there's a type of milk, the name of which Brits and Americans can't agree on, and it's this. I refer to this type of milk as skimmed milk.
And I just say skim milk or non-fat.
Oh, right, okay. That's interesting. We have like whole fat milk, skimmed and semi-skimmed milk.
Do you know who came up with that?
No.
It wasn't Americans, it was Shakespeare. I think this is another one that should come with a caveat and serviette/napkin, because I think the word we use in Britain is in use here, but just like with sweet corn, it's not as widespread as it might be in Britain. In Britain,
We'd say this is a chocolate eclair.
I'd refer to this as a profiterole.
Oh.
And I think of it as a cream puff.
Wife, you're a big fan of seafood.
I am. I just had some really good sushi for lunch today.
That's good, and while I absolutely hate sushi, I do like a good round of prawns.
Right,
Oh,
there were
prawns.
shrimp in my sushi too.
Right, so when you say shrimp, that's the same thing as prawns. It's crazy.
What's a tiger shrimp to you?
No idea.
A tiger prawn.
All right, sometimes I like...
Minced beef.
I make my own burgers, and when I do, I use this.
Ground beef.
Or as I would call it, minced beef, because we
Yeah.
love that word, right? Minced beef, minced pies, after 8 mince, they're all different words. Well now, wife, since I know for a
Macaroni cheese.
fact this is one of your favourite meals, I'm going to allow you to go first on this.
I do love a good macaroni and cheese.
But you'll sometimes say mac and cheese, right?
Yeah.
But either way, the crucial component here is the word and. We don't bother
yeah.
with that in Britain. To us, this is just macaroni cheese. Don't ask me
Yeah.
why.
That looks disgusting.
Is that a kebab? Bit of a ritual over here. Back in my formative days, when you go out having a few beers, you'd end the night with something called a kebab. Go to the local Turkish restaurant or takeaway, fumble around in your pockets trying to get some money out, and you ask for a kebab. It can be like a lamb kebab. You can get chicken kebabs, shish kebabs, all kinds of kebabs.
Tell that to 19-year-old Laurence Brown drunk on a Friday night in Grimsby. Because back in the day, these were very popular for that demographic.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I like a good hero, but
Wait, what did you just call it?
a hero.
A hero?
Well, sure, that's what it is.
What's heroic about it?
No, Gyro, a hero.
That's the word that everyone thinks is pronounced gyro. Well, the thing that we eat that's very similar to a hero is called a doner kebab.
Yeah.
Where are you finding
Jelly. Do you call it jello? Is that right? Jello? It's not jam, is it? You don't call it jam.
these pictures?
I have my sources. And while this might look like some, aloe vera, it is in fact what I would call jelly.
Jello. Really
Jello.
gross Jello.
So this one brought up a bit of confusion to me.
Looking at that, I'd just say that's ham.
Because when I first moved here and we had ham for Christmas, this didn't resemble what I would call ham in Britain. In fact, it looked more like gammon.
Oh, wow. That's really interesting because I have never heard that before. And in fact, isn't gammon a specific cut of meat? Because to me, that is just a spiralized ham, or at least I suspect it's spiralized in terms of cut. It's kind of hard to tell.
Over the years, a lot of my
Fish fingers.
subscribers have told me that they've seen this very food item in Walmart as being marked from my hometown of Grimsby. And that should tell you that I used to eat these for breakfast. I didn't mean to admit that.
You can have them in the sandwich as well, which is really, really nice. Fish finger sandwich.
I would call these fish fingers.
And I would call them fish sticks. And for the record, I ate them a lot growing up too, but not for breakfast.
I still haven't got used to fish sticks. Well, you wouldn't dip your fish sticks in these, would you, wife?
No, give me custard any day.
And I have to say, before I moved to the United States, I didn't really partake
I would say these are cupcakes.
of these very often, but if I did, I would have called these fairy cakes.
And I call them cupcakes.
I must be American. I would call them cupcakes. I wouldn't call them fairy cakes. Again, it might be a Grimsby thing. I mean, I have heard people sort of call them or refer to them as like fairy cakes, but I would say cupcakes.
Because they're baked in a cup.
And they're cakes. It's not just that the United States has Lays instead of Walkers.
Oh, this is crisps. Yeah, is that right? Crisps.
Even the very product in the bag goes by a different name.
Potato chips.
And of course, where I grew up, these were referred to as crisps. I can't go on. I cannot go on looking at that. But in the name of professionalism, we do have to name this screened object. It's not something that I've eaten often, but when I used to see it on the shelves at Asda, I think this used to go by a French word, courgette.
And they are very tasty, but I think they're called zucchinis.
Oh, zucchinis. Not heard of that. Yeah, I'm not a massive fan of courgettes, if I'm being honest.
And now we begin our final 10.
You've certainly whetted my appetite.
It was a joke. So I have to admit, for the first
Lettuce. Is that lettuce? I think it's lettuce.
30 years of my life, I detested lettuce, so I didn't really eat much of it in Britain. But I've come to find that my fellow Brits refer to this as cos lettuce.
I think we just call it romaine, but I'm not really sure why.
But I can tell you why we call it cos lettuce, because it's connected to the island of Kos.
Never heard cos lettuce before. Ever. Never. Okay?
Oh, is it from there?
I think so. Hey wife, what is the
Flour.
corniest thing you've ever seen that isn't actually corn?
You?
What are you doing?
Just kidding. It's cornstarch, which is actually made of corn, so you got that wrong.
You refer to this as cornstarch?
Yeah.
No way, no way. Where I'm from, this is corn flour.
Ooh, I really like this one on tacos.
A lot of people don't because they say that it tastes like soap.
So odd that that's the case, but cilantro will always have my heart.
And coriander, as I refer to it as, will not, but the sentiment is there.
Oh, Cadbury, my Cadbury. This is clearly a candy bar.
Yeah, we'd say chocolate bar.
I probably would call it chocolate bar nowadays too. I wonder why.
I would also call it a chocolate bar because I always have, and I've influenced her beyond belief.
Oh yes, this is chili, which can be vegetarian.
Yes, I'd say the same. Chili. Obviously you can chuck in rice as well and things like that.
And I know that that is a very...
Oh, I guess you could say chili con carne, but I normally refer to it as chili now.
very scary statement for some of you.
And that includes in the United Kingdom, where we typically do have chili with meat, and because of that, we refer to it as chili con carne. There's perhaps no more
Chips.
well-known British-American food difference than this one. Clearly, I refer to these as chips.
Fries.
But it should be said that whenever I've ordered fish and chips in this country, they have indeed gone by fish and chips.
Is that actually true? Because I feel like sometimes when they have fish and chips on the menu and then you order it, you end up with potato chips and then you absolutely hate it.
Yeah, that happened once and I've never been back to that pub again. All right, raise your hand if
Candy floss.
you've just recently been to your state fair. I can only see her hand because you're not in the room. But of course, at state fairs and indeed at fairgrounds in England, you might find that sort of cotton ball thing that they put on sticks that you eat that's also sugary. We refer to that as candy floss.
And while I haven't had any since I was 6, we call it cotton candy. Are those molasses cookies?
I don't know, I didn't make them, but if they...
Yeah, cookies. It's really nice to see Laurence's partner. Just while I've stopped the video, I'll put a link up here, the video that my wife and I did. It ties in quite nicely with this because we actually made American or Texan themed cookies. Put a link there. Don't click it yet, but wait till the end of the video. I'll leave it hanging there, but click that. Really, really good video with my wife and I.
It would be doubly confusing. Because where I'm from, these are referred to as biscuits. And this is even more confusing because you have something called biscuits, which are kind of like, I don't know, savory scones.
I even have a recipe for biscuits, like American ones, on my website, which you can check in the description.
While this might look like a vegetable that
Beetroot.
Super Mario Brothers might pull out of the ground, it is in fact a vegetable that a qualified farmer would pull out of the ground. And syllabically, we take the longer approach to naming this vegetable because we refer to it as a beetroot.
And I just say beets. This might be my favorite vegetable, and that is the eggplant.
Which was a really disconcerting term when I first moved to the United States because I pictured eggs growing on trees. And that could be something to do with the fact that in the United Kingdom, we refer to these as aubergines. But I do have a confession to make after all of this.
What's that?
Because I didn't really eat these in the UK and I only learned to eat them in the United States, I have come to call them eggplants.
Wow, what did you think of the video? Did you learn anything in this? I've learned so much from all these different words and different sayings. Again, absolutely brilliant video from Laurence Brown of Lost in the Pond. If you've got any interesting facts, please let me know in the comments below. I'm having so much fun learning about your country, all the differences between the UK and the US. It's absolutely fantastic. And again, if there's anything in here that they may have missed, let me know in the comments below. Absolutely fantastic. If you are new to the channel and you like reaction videos, don't forget to subscribe with the notification bell on because I'm posting every Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. If you'd like to support the channel even more, we do have a join and members section. Check out a link in the pinned comments for all the fun pack perks. And all that leaves me to say, Mr. H, you're my friends, is take care, God bless, see y'all in the next video.